Okay, the last part of this lesson is solving an equation that's in quadratic form. Okay, and this is on page 22. All right, so if you look at these equations at A, B, and C here, they're pretty kind of weird looking. The first one's not too bad. You've actually done and seen ones like that before, but with B and C, you have x to some really strange powers that we haven't really dealt with before in solving equations. Okay, but these equations actually can be written in what we call quadratic form. Okay, so x to the fourth, which comes from example A here, okay, can be written as x squared squared. Right? X to the 1/2, which is in example B there, could be rewritten as x to the 1/4 squared, because remember you're going to multiply those exponents and you're going to get x to the 2/4 or 1/2. Okay, and the same way x to the -2, which comes from example C here, could be written as x to the -1 squared. So if you can kind of recognize that that first term is the square of something, then all this really is a regular old quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, which you can then solve in a number of different ways. Okay. So these first three, we're not actually going to solve them, we're just going to rewrite them using U substitution. This is a common technique in math where when you have something that's kind of complex or difficult, you can just take that part out and replace it with something that is straightforward U, which helps you kind of see what to do a little bit better. And then in the end, you kind of unsubstitute. Okay, so x to the fourth can be rewritten as x squared squared. Okay, so we can decide we're going to just replace x squared with U. Right. So instead of x to the fourth, we're going to put x squared squared minus 8x squared plus 15 equals 0. Well, now wherever we see this x squared, we're going to take it out and replace it with u. So we're going to rewrite this as u squared minus 8u plus 15 equals 0. Okay, we've taken out the x squared and we've replaced it with u. All right, and this, what we have here, is just a regular old quadratic equation, which should be easy to factor and solve. Okay, let's have a look at B. Right, so remember we can rewrite from up at the top here. We said we could rewrite x to the 1/2 as x to the 4th squared. Okay, so we are going to make a substitution that we're going to call x to the 1/4. We're going to call that u. All right, and then we can rewrite this as u squared minus 9u plus 20 equals 0. Okay, where we used to see that x to the 1/4, we're replacing it with u. And then let's try the last one here. Okay, we can remember we can write x to the -2. Sorry, we can rewrite that as x to the -1 squared. So wherever we see that x to the -1, okay, we're going to make a substitution here. Okay, so we're going to have 15, and instead of x to the -2, we're going to rewrite that as, as u squared. Just rewrite this here. Okay, because of this, we're going to let u equal to x to the -1. Okay, so that first part becomes 15u squared plus 7u minus 2 equals 0. All right, wherever we saw that x to the -1, we've replaced it with u. Right, and from there, that would be pretty straightforward to solve. Okay, so the first thing to understand is just what that u substitution is. It's just taking out something that's been more complicated and putting it in replacing with something that visually makes it easier to see what to do. Okay, so we're going to try actually solving one now. Okay, so if we look at this one here, all right, we're kind of dealing with this weird thing of x to the 2/3. Well, if we rewrite that as something squared, okay, it needs to be x to the 1/3 squared to get x to the 2/3. Okay, so we're going to let our u substitution, okay, we're going to let u replace x to the 1/3. Okay, and then we can rewrite this. So this is going to become 3u squared minus 5u minus 2 equals 0. Okay. From there, we can go ahead and factor that. Okay, we need two numbers that multiply to be -6 and add up to be -5. So it's going to be 3u squared minus 6u plus u minus 2. Okay, we just factor it like normal. Okay, so we factored it. Now we're going to set our factors equal to 0. So u equals 2 or u equals negative 1/3, solving by factoring. Great. Now the thing is, we were not asked to find out what u is. We were asked to find out what x is. And so the last step is to replace, kind of unsubstitute here. Okay, so we have u equals 2. Well, u we can replace with x to the 1/3. Okay, and our other solution here is u equals negative 1/3. Well, we're going to replace that with x to the 1/3 equals negative 1/3. Okay, now these need to be solved, okay, but we just learned how to solve these, which is to raise them to a power that will change this 1/3 into a 1. So we can cube that, and we will get x equals 8. Okay, same thing here. We can cube this side, and cube this, and we will get x equals negative 1/27. Okay, so those are the two solutions to that equation. If you were to plug those back in, that equation would actually equal 0. Okay. So if you want to pause the video and try the last two, you can do that, and then whenever you're ready, just play the video and you can check out the written out work for this. Okay, for the first one, you should end up with the two solutions of x equals 81/4 and x equals 1/16. Okay, the substitution here was this: u equals x to the 1/2. Okay, substitute that in, factor, and then solve, and then unsubstitute. That's your last step. Okay, so if you want to pause the video, you can work on the last one and then play it when you're ready. Okay, so for this one, you've actually done something like this before. So when you have x to the 4th, you can recognize that's just x squared squared. All right, and basically your x to the 4th is going to turn into two factors beginning with x to the x squared. All right, and then you're just looking for your target product, target number, solving. Okay, you end up having two complex solutions and two real solutions.